Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting a like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story comes from the wedding subreddit from Final Estimate 7166 and says, I denied my in-laws' only request for the wedding, and now it's ruining our relationship with them. I need some advice on this situation from an unbiased source. Me, 23 female, and my fiance, 27 male, are getting married in December. We got engaged in April and I pretty much did all the planning myself, with the help of my mum in the first few weeks. From the very beginning, my fiance and I had a plan laid out for the bridal party. That was one of the first things decided since before I had the ring on my finger, including flower girls and ring bearers. We decided that the flower girl would be my sister, who's also my matron of honor's baby, who will be pushed in a stroller down the aisle by my 10 female cousin, who would be considered a junior bridesmaid. For the ring bearers, my fiance really wanted to include his best friend's son. For context, his friend has not had custody of his child for most of his life. Long story, and it could be a little difficult to arrange his attendance. He will be around a year and a half at the time of the wedding. As a result, we decided that we would have my 2 cousins, 5 male and 7 male, the brothers of the junior bridesmaid, be ring bearers as well. This way, it's no pressure on the friend and everything will go smoothly whether his child can come or not. The older boys will help the younger boy walk down the aisle holding his hand. We decided on these specific children because they are closely related / close to us and are the right age. Shortly after the engagement, I asked my sister and cousin, the mums of the children, if their kids could be in the wedding and gave details of what they should wear, etc. The kids and parents were both so excited. This was great and everything was going according to plan, until a few weeks ago when my mother-in-law asked us if we would consider adding another flower girl. For context, my fiance's brother / best man, 24 male, lives across the country from us and has recently told us around 4 months ago that he has a new girlfriend, 21 female. This girlfriend has a child from a previous relationship, female, 10 months. They have known each other about 7 or 8 months. He is very serious about her and we're very happy for them. He has taken a sort of father role in her daughter's life, which is adorable. He's expressed an interest in marrying her in the future, but they are taking it slow. My fiance and I have never met this girlfriend or her child, but we are thrilled for his brother, so we of course invited them both to the wedding. Now, this is where things get a little messy. I've always gotten along great with my fiance's family. They have always been so sweet, kind, accepting, and well-meaning. They welcome newcomers with open arms, including me, and have really become my family. I especially had a great relationship with my mother-in-law. She is the sweetest lady and would do anything for me and any one of her children. She lives very close to us and my family lives far. She was always the first to say that it's our wedding, meaning mine and my fiance's, to encourage me to make my own decisions in wedding planning and not let my mother sway them. She has become like a mother to me in so many ways. With that being said, they were also very loving and accepting of my fiance's brother's girlfriend and her baby from afar, which is great. I'm so glad that they are so supportive. They even started calling her baby their first grandchild and flew across the country to meet them. With this context in mind, a couple of weeks ago when my mother-in-law and I were hanging out, just the 2 of us, she asked me if I would consider adding the girlfriend's baby as a flower girl. She said fiance's brother keeps bringing it up and that it would be really cute. I politely told her that we already had a flower girl, my niece, and a junior bridesmaid assigned to push her in a carriage. She responded by saying essentially, what's one more? She'll probably be able to walk herself down the aisle by then, 14 to 15 months. I kinda just said I would think about it with my fiance and change the subject. Later on, I told my fiance about it and we both agreed it wasn't a good idea. Because 1, we already had the role filled and it would sort of be awkward to have a baby randomly walking next to the stroller with the other baby. 2, if she needed help walking, it wouldn't be easy for the 10-year-old to juggle 2 kids down an aisle. 3, we have never met her and she might not be comfortable walking down the aisle of a wedding where she knows nobody. And 4, they aren't married and worst case scenario, if they break up, she's in all the pictures. I know that sounds harsh, but I come from a family where traditionally, if you're not engaged, you don't get a +1 no matter who you are. I'm not following this rule and everyone's significant other is invited, but that doesn't mean they get to be in the wedding. My fiancé and I were on the same page about this. We agreed to the bridal party the way it was. He talked to his brother and essentially told him it was a no, and everything was fine and everyone was on the same page until the other night. We're at my mother-in-law's house again, but this time my fiancé was there too. Once again, mother-in-law brings up the flower girl thing and my fiancé tells her that we already had the position filled and that's that. But then my mother-in-law tells my fiancé how much it must mean to his brother since he keeps bringing it up. This brings out the empath in my fiancé, and he starts to have an open mind about it. Meanwhile, I'm still against it, and I start to say so with some of the reasons I listed above. My mother-in-law points out that all of the children in the wedding are from my side except one, and that their side doesn't have any representation. Meanwhile, this is because that there are no children on his side. She also points out that there are 3 little boys in the wedding. Why can't there be 3 little girls? At this point, she's convinced my fiancé and I'm an island. I'm still defending my position alone. She wasn't being rude or anything, but every reason I have, she seemed to have a rebuttal. She's saying things like, they will get married one day anyways, and she's already part of the family. Then I start saying, we will think about it, and she is like, so that sounds like a no. And I was like, we will consider it. So then it was awkward, and I was about to cry, so I changed the subject. The whole time, I felt like I looked like a major arsehole. It was really bad. My fiancé since apologized to me for being open to the idea in front of his mother when we had decided against it. From what he believed about his mother, he figured that she would just have an open conversation with us and not try to push her away. I figured it would not go that way. Later that night, he called his brother and told him it was for sure no, and we had already asked other people. His brother was sad but understood. I felt really bad and guilty for making my fiancé feel bad. In hindsight, I really should not have because of what followed afterwards. This is where my previous post left off. A lot has happened in the last few days. I was worried immediately after that conversation that his mother would tell his brother that my fiancé was for it and I was against it while we're at her place. My fiancé said that he knows his mother well and that she wouldn't do that. The next morning, his brother calls him wanting to talk. The first words out of his mouth are, after our conversation last night, I talked to Mum and she said you were wanting to have her as a flower girl and your fiancé, me, wasn't. Just as I thought would happen. And he goes on to say, as your brother, I want to make sure that you get what you want since it's your wedding. I was pissed. My fiancé told him that we would talk about it, but that we had already agreed not to have her as the flower girl, and he should not have seemed so open to it last night. That whole day we discussed it. I felt like an arsehole and was tempted to cave to keep the peace. But the only reason my fiancé was wanting it was because it meant a lot to his brother. But the conclusion we came to was that it's not his brother's wedding. So we called him up a few hours later and told him no for the 3rd time. He was upset, but at least it was over. Or so we thought. He texted him the next morning again, expressing how hurt he was by it, but at that point we were like, the decision is made. It's our wedding, please get over it. And then my fiancé's brother enlisted their mother. She calls my fiancé and basically attacks him for almost an hour on the phone. My fiancé did a great job of sticking up for us and sticking to his guns. His mum went as far as to say that my relationships with his whole family will forever be affected by this decision. That one hurt. And that my fiancé's relationship with his brother will forever be altered. At this point, this is all going way too far. We ended up talking to my fiancé's sister and found out that his brother no longer wants to be best man anymore, and that neither of them want to speak to us for a while. They said that this won't be resolved until we give in. I'm at a loss for words. This doesn't even feel like a real situation, to be honest. I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. We're definitely not going to give in. At this point, all that it would tell them is that if they push hard enough, they can manipulate us. It just really hurts because we had such a great relationship before this. And there's no way you can actually cave after this. They can't throw ultimatums and get away with that kind of shit. You know, in the end, this is their choices. They're making choices. If they don't want to attend, that's on them, right? They've decided to show their true colors over a flower girl spot for a baby you've never met from an 8-month relationship. I mean, just get them to say that back to themselves. But Farty Napkins, what a name, says, your mother-in-law and brother-in-law are being crazy. But your fiancé really messed this one up by waffling about it in front of his mother and making you look like a bridezilla. None of this would have been an issue if he didn't do that. Commenter replies saying this: most of this is fiancé's fault, unfortunately. The family are being extremely pushy and inappropriate. Bertie allowed them to do that by giving them room. He should have said, okay mum, we'll have a think. Instead he left OP out to dry and now everybody thinks it's her fault. He should not have given an inch without discussing it with OP privately. Now he needs to sit his brother and mother down and then tell them that they, as the wedding couple together, do not want any more flower girls. And this is not up for debate. If you can think of another role for this girl, I might consider it, but I'm not sure if I would capitulate at this point. Honestly, I'd be tempted to just scrap children in the wedding party altogether if it was me. If grown-ups can't be trusted to keep their opinions to themselves, then maybe that's the easiest option. And I agree and disagree with these comments. I think they were both guilty of, leaving it open to discussion. There was both points in this story where they said, have a think about it, something along those lines, which leaves the door open to more discussions about it. This should have been just simply, no, that's not happening. We've arranged it. This is what's happening in the wedding. Basically just suck it up. OP's fiance definitely more guilty than herself, but also in this comment saying things like, the commenter said it's not up for debate, which is absolutely the right way to go about it, but also adding on, if you can think of another role for this girl, you might consider it. Again, I don't think that's a good idea at this moment in time because they will find another role for her. It will just be Flower Girl disguised as a different name. Kyle says all of this for an 8-month relationship for a child that isn't even his brother's. I'm not usually a big Reddit conspiracy theorist, but your fiance needs to talk to his family to find out what is actually going on, because this is insane levels of petty for literally nothing. You are correct in every way, and for the love of God, don't give in. But when people tell you who they are, listen to them, because it seems like there is some aggressive golden child syndrome with your future brother-in-law. Nurse Penguin says, Jesus, he's only known her for 8 months and is demanding her child be a part of the wedding party. What happens when they break up? And for the rest of your lives, everyone who sees the wedding photos and asks whose kid is that, your response is, some random my brother/brother-in-law was dating at the time. Not to mention that a 14 to 15 month old is totally not going to be fine to just independently walk down the aisle. He's putting his desire to prove she's part of the family above your right to have the wedding you want. Maple Star says, dang, your fiance's family is imploding over 20 seconds of a small child walking down an aisle when she isn't even old enough to form a lasting memory of having done it. Brother-in-law sounds like he's fallen a bit too hard in the honeymoon phase and wants to act like his girlfriend has been around forever. Taking mother-in-law along for the ride. Good luck, OP. Truly hope they realize how insane they are being before the big day. And one more comment which says, this comment is going to be lost in a huge number of comments, but I'm going to say it anyway, in the off chance that OP will see it. As someone who has been married for over 30 years, and quite happily, the most important issue you are facing here is boundaries. Whether or not this baby is in your wedding is not the point. You are seeing clear as day how your fiance's family interacts. Your in-laws are going to be a problem if you don't present a united front and stick to your boundaries. Your fiancé is used to this manipulation and is possibly the only one who tries to keep the peace and go along with his mother. Couples therapy could be a huge assistance for you both as you start your life together. So OP does come back into the post with their update and says, update, wow. As a new Reddit poster, I'm absolutely shocked by how many views and comments this post got. Was not expecting for people to actually reply. Thank you for those that gave great advice and were trying to help the situation. Your insight really opened our eyes, mine and my fiance. A lot of you hit the nail on the head. Brother-in-law is the golden child and has always been favored greatly over my fiance by their mother. Brother-in-law is the youngest and his mother has been coddling him his whole life. My fiance is the oldest and tends to be the peacemaker/sacrificed. A lot of you also called out the triangulation manipulation. I told my fiance this and he said that his younger brother often would rope his mum into their arguments, get her to take his side and get my fiance in trouble no matter how ridiculous or wrong brother was being. He mastered the art of triangulation manipulation from a young age. My fiance would just take it and apologize to keep the peace. For those of you who said it's ridiculous to have a child we have never met and are not related to, and have not even met her mother, as such an important part of our wedding party, thank you. I was feeling like the crazy one for thinking this. Also info, I was being gracious when I said they have been together 8 months. They have known each other 8 months and have only been dating officially for 4 months. The wedding is further away than the length of their whole relationship. It's bizarre that they are pushing so hard for this. For those who said we should have granted their request just to keep the peace, my fiancé has been doing this his entire life with this family. That is probably why they resorted to their usual manipulation tactics. He never actually wanted to have this baby in our wedding. He in fact thought it was pretty ridiculous of them to ask. He was just ready to cave because he always does to keep the family peace, at the expense of himself and his needs/wants every time. Except the difference is, this time the wedding is about him. It's his day and not his brother's. Well, both of us. And that's the other thing. He has me this time to stand up for him and what he actually wanted. I also wanted it too, which helps, lol. On to the update. A lot has happened. Today my fiancé went to see his dad, and then his mum. They are separated. His dad is neutral but has been sticking up for me in this whole thing. I have a great relationship with him. He filled us in a lot. Here is essentially what's been happening. Turns out brother-in-law's girlfriend has more to do with this than we thought, as some of you suggested in the comments. She is the one who's been encouraging him to push for this, because it means a lot to him, and being super offended and making a big deal about us saying no. Personally, if it was me, I would never ask someone if my kid could be in their wedding, even if it's family, but forcing it on strangers is wild. My fiancé found out from talking to his dad that my mother-in-law and brother-in-law are spreading a whole bunch of lies. Here is what has all unfolded. Mother-in-law is telling people I'm racist and that's why I didn't want the baby in it. Apparently the baby and mother are Filipino, which I honestly didn't even know because once again, I've never met them. They live across the country. I don't even know their last name. But still, I don't care what race they are in the slightest. The girlfriend now believes this and doesn't even want to come to the wedding anymore. That's her choice. Also, the wedding party is diverse ethnicities, so how is it that I'm racist, lol? Brother-in-law is telling people that we are judging the girlfriend and don't want her child in the wedding because she was born out of wedlock, which is ridiculous. 2 of the children who are already in the wedding were born out of wedlock, 1 from each side. They've been talking behind our backs, gossiping, making up lies about me, and assuming things about me that are not true. Brother-in-law is twisting and changing my fiancé's words into complete lies that make him seem like the victim. He's feeding lies of things that my fiancé did not say to not only his mother, but his sister and his dad. My sister-in-law and father-in-law are both neutral and won't take sides, but think that this whole thing is insane and want it to end. We do too. They both see that they are doing this whole thing and hate me for no reason. So today my fiancé went to see his mother to essentially call her out for her behavior. She was absolutely hysterical and was not ready to listen to reason or logic. She deflected and denied and lied about things we knew were in fact true. She refused to take accountability or any sort of blame for the situation getting out of hand. She just deferred back to blaming me for everything and making me the villain and herself and her precious baby son, brother-in-law, the victim. Meanwhile, the last time I spoke to either of them was when we had that conversation with mother-in-law at her house, when my fiancé slipped and this whole thing started. My fiancé has been handling this whole thing and even trying to shield me from the blame and take it all for himself. It's not working. Mother-in-law and brother-in-law have made this whole thing up in their heads and driven themselves and everyone else crazy over it. Meanwhile, all I've done is express my concerns for having a child in the wedding that we don't know, in that initial conversation, when they aren't engaged or married, and the fact that we have already filled the roles. She denied favoring brother-in-law and claims that she is hurt by the accusation, and then in the same breath favors him and defends him. I feel the worst for my fiancé because he doesn't even want anything to do with him anymore, and does not feel the need to keep up with these relationships. He said that his mother expected him to fall on his face today and apologize for everything, because that is what he was forced to do growing up, and that's what they are used to. But now that I'm an extension of him, he's not letting me or us get treated this way. He's angry that they are selfishly trying to use Ade to make some grand gesture to his brother's girlfriend he's been dating for 4 months, and that they refuse to respect our wishes. He's shocked and disappointed that they are lying about us and creating drama around our wedding. He is saying goodbye to this toxic cycle and going to go no contact until they come to their senses and fix this mess. For those of you who asked, we are in premarital counseling with our pastor, who is our officiant. He was bewildered that they even requested this in the first place and shocked and dismayed that they have turned it into such an ordeal. Anyways, this wasn't the update that we hoped for, but it's the one we have. Hopefully one day things will turn around. We're hoping mother-in-law at least comes to her senses, considering we're the only family that lives near her. Maybe she will learn to support the son and daughter-in-law who will one day birth the grandkids she actually has a shot of seeing regularly, rather than blatantly favoring the son and girlfriend who lives across the country. But for the time being, this is it. That is not someone that I would want in my life anymore. That would be zero contact. I mean, let's just look at what she's done, what she's shown you who she is in this situation over a flower girl disagreement where she was wrong in the first place. She was willing to call you racist with no evidence whatsoever, spread lies about you, judging unwed mothers, basically poisoning an entire family against you, and then threatening your reputation in your own community, and just making up lies about your character. All because you said no to including a stranger's baby in your wedding. This is someone who's willing to completely try and destroy your reputation the moment you don't fall in line, the moment she can't control you. What happens in the future when, like we say in other stories, what happens in the future when you disagree, say, about your potential children, any traditions you have, holidays, etc., if you want to move house? And the scariest part is, she did this so easily. It was so easy for her to do. There was no hesitation, no guilt about any of this. Absolutely just be done with these people, which I know is easier said than done. As I always say, I'm sat here behind a microphone saying, you should cut these people off. I know it's not always that easy, but think how peaceful your life would be without these people. Think how good your wedding will be without them, causing stress for you. Your wedding shouldn't be about stress. It should be about love, happiness, spending time with the people that you do love, that do support you. Not this trash. But now, I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What would you say to OP in this situation? Do you think mother-in-law's behavior will ever change? I personally can't see it myself. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories. Don't forget at the very end, there'll be a couple of playlists there that you can click on that will automatically scroll through all those videos for you. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
Yeah, man, I remember being so naive when life was good, weather and palm trees. Back in the day, you were everything I need. But then along came a time when you crushed my dreams. Oh yeah, you played me like a fool when you made me believe that the line between love wasn't thick enough to read. Oh yeah, you see we in the spare crime everywhere. You're selling false hope cause you just don't care. Nah, you just don't care. Nah, you just don't.